I fall back asleep probably like for 45 minutes before I've got to wake up for work again. And I'm off again the same day, going through the same behavior, same feelings of resentment and anger and inadequacy, depression, anxiety. All this is just a big whirlwind. And then I come home and I behave the same way. I play the game, I eat the food, and I go to sleep. I mean, really, it was a weird
Are you
time.
thinking about the night throughout the day? Are you like worried when you go home? Or are you just like repressing it?
So I had a couple of homies at work that I would say this to, but they weren't onto anything
Right.
that I was onto. So um they said it was scary,
Yeah.
and they were definitely of the school of thought that something was happening.
Right.
But when the sun is up and you're in the throes of the day, you can like suppress it for a while.
For sure. Yeah.
But to your point, it's like when you get to laying down,
Boom.
of course it's on your mind.
Yep.
So yeah, it was hard to fall asleep that night.
Yeah.
And this night in particular, this is night 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the primer that forever changed, not quite the spark, but the primer that forever changed how I looked at things. Like I said, I've been a lifelong conspiracy theorist since 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I've always suspected that there was a spiritual element, but this solidified and changed me forever. And it wasn't all at once, Shane. It was like, in hindsight, it changed me forever.
Yeah.
And it provoked me into doing things, let's say content wise, that I wouldn't have thought that I'd ever be doing.
Right.
So I go to work, I eat the dish, I play the game, I go to sleep, and I feel as though I have what is a reasonable night of sleep. As far as not waking up, but I did have a nightmare. And this nightmare was, I wouldn't call it a room. It's more like a void. Like there's no ceilings and walls. It's a space.
Okay.
And it's black. And there's some element of light, or else I wouldn't be able to see this thing that I saw, but I couldn't tell you where it comes from. I had no real sensation of my body or reactivity or anything like that. I was observing, but I wouldn't say that I didn't have a body. It's just that I had no reason to remember back to, like, there were my feet, there were my arms. I felt this, I felt that. There was no physical sensations. Mm-hmm. I was just observing. And what I was seeing was, in the center of this void stood a bipedal creature. And this thing had skin that was like, like a leopard print slug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Gray and black. Yeah. So it wasn't slimy, but it had that pattern on its body.
Okay.
And I don't remember if there was clothing. I don't remember if this thing was naked. I don't have any recollection of that, but I remember it was muscular. Mm-hmm. Muscular in the sense that, like, as I'm observing, that was something that I noted. Like, this thing looks formidable. It looks strong. It looks capable. And it has lower canid teeth that are protruding in a way where they overlap its upper lip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I don't remember if it had hair. I want to say it had hair, but it wasn't. It was of no consequence, the hair. And it had eyes that were like maraschino cherries. Like, they were so red, they were illuminated.
Whoa.
And its chest was rising and dropping as it's like heaving with what felt to me like, it felt like rage. Mm-hmm. Like, this thing was angry. Like, it was like rage incarnate. Honestly, in hindsight, I said that there seems to be some element of your negative emotional state of mind feeding these creatures. We put off energy. This thing was eating like rage and anger.
Yeah.
That was what this thing, it was the embodiment of it.
Right.
And it's just that. It's just staring at me. And it's breathing. Its chest is rising and collapsing, and it's just filled with anger. And around its legs, there was like a swirling black mist. Almost like smoke, but like, I don't know. It just wouldn't dissipate. It was like this consistent. It was there the whole time. And the dream felt like it lasted a long time. Right. Just me observing this horrifying creature. It, like I said, a muscular, for lack of a better term, it looked like a demon.
Right.
So that is all that I remember from the dream. The next thing I know, my wife and I are waking up in the morning, and she's saying, I had the craziest dream last night. Now, dude, I have not told my wife anything because I don't want to feed into this at all. So when she says I had the craziest dream last night, you know, in my mind, I'm like, you have my attention. But on the outside, I'm like, go on.
Oh, shoot.
So what she proceeds to tell me is that she wakes up in the room and she can't move. Effectively, what she's beginning to describe to me is sleep paralysis, but my wife does not know at the time what sleep paralysis is and has never had it in any meaningful way that she's ever like told me about.
Right.
So there's no precedent for like her having sleep paralysis all the time. She says, I wake up, I can't move, but I get the sensation that you're in danger. So she's trying to look to me, but she can't. And she realizes the only thing she can move is her eyeballs. So she moves her eyes all the way to one side and does manage to very slowly turn enough to see that I am being pressed into the bed. This monster has its hands around my throat, and she said it had giant teeth sticking out of its mouth and bright red eyes that looked like lights.
Dude.
I know, like right now, as I'm saying it, my whole body is getting like,
I feel it. That's crazy.
Dude, I mean, like, Shane, what do you even like? What do you do? What do you say in this situation? Because I don't know. Nobody's ever told me.
I would be like, obviously it's insane, but I'd be somewhat relieved that I had that connection with my wife, right? Like it's kind of dope that she knew through whatever dimensions you were dealing with that something was wrong, you know. So that says something about your marriage, despite the way you're feeling about yourself at that time. It's something that's a positive amongst the darkness. But outside of that, that is some real crazy supernatural stuff right there.
Well, it gets a little worse.
All right.
So, and I do want to say that that's a great point, Shane, because as I said, my entire life I've had like weird experiences. Like if we had more time, I could sit down and convince you that there's something terribly wrong with me because of all the strange things
I could do
that
it
have
for
happened to
myself.
me.
Yeah.